Happy Sundays with
Hello,
Cinnamon.
everyone.
How are you?
I'm really good. I'm full and happy.
I am too.
We just created a feast and
You
had fun
did.
eating together. Yeah. Well, I say we because I have the desire to awaken taste buds in people, and I have the people in mind that I'm cooking for,
Ugh.
and so that's why I say we. And it is.
Cinnamama's Italian too, if we haven't said that. And she is just the greatest cook because everything's so healthy.
Thank you.
And it tastes so yummy regardless. And just,
Well, that's the thing that keeps people away from what we call health food. Health food, if it doesn't taste good, who the heck wants it? So
exactly.
I've spent a lot of years, at least 40 years, perfecting the art of making really healthy foods taste delicious. And in part, I have the spirit of my grandma always spurring me on, taking eggplant parmesan and this and that could be very detrimental to the heart, and refining it so that it works for good health in the body.
If anyone's interested in doing a cinnamon cookbook, boy, I would love for a
Yeah,
cookbook to be done.
yeah.
Anyway, so what I want to talk about today is going through addiction versus avoiding it. And in rehabs, of course, you need to. Sorry, I have a.
You know what I think the question really could be?
Okay, what's the question? Yes.
Truly releasing addiction as opposed to resisting addiction, pushing it away. The difference between being dry and being sober
Okay.
is dramatic.
Yes.
Because in sobriety, you're so at peace and you're so happy not to drink. And when you're dry, you're just not drinking. It's just, I won't. You're resisting. Had a conversation with the Boots this morning about that, about the difference between refusing to do something and just simply giving up the need or desire to do it. Because one has more resistance to it, refusal, and the other just says, I will not allow myself to be drawn into that which doesn't work for me. See, one has compassion for the self, the other just is determinedly not going to do something, and then the mind is always saying, oh, come on, just one more time. Whereas if you quietly and peacefully say, I will not allow myself to abuse this body with drugs or whatever it is the addiction is. And remember that the way we define addiction in Living Love is an emotion-backed demand that life or someone or something be different than it is. So that could be anything. It could be your spouse, it could be sex, it could be your kid, it could be TV, it could be anything that has an emotion-backed resistance to it.
Well, what I've noticed is, and this is the contradiction, because of course, let's say you're doing meth. That's something you need to quit. Quit
Oh, it sounded like you said math, M-A-T-H.
No, meth.
You said meth.
meth. So you're doing meth. No, you need to cut. That needs to be a cold turkey type of thing.
Oh yeah, although it doesn't have to be uptight and tense.
Yes.
It can be resolute.
Well, I'm saying let's do a different addiction. Let's say an addiction to Facebook.
Okay.
Let's do that. Do you get off Facebook completely and just cut it out? Or do you go through the addiction while still using Facebook and watch yourself and observe? And I'm not saying there's a right or wrong way, because actually either one.
You just answered your question. You said, do you do this or do you do that?
And there isn't.
It doesn't matter. As long as you're doing it with grace and gentility and compassion, doesn't matter how you go about it.
Yes.
That's
But there are two different ways of going about it. That's what I'm here to
There's
say.
more than two ways, I'm sure.
Yeah, because a lot of people say, oh, you have an addiction to ice cream, to alcohol, to cigarettes, quit. Quit cold turkey.
You could say, I will have ice cream every day, 3 times a day. I will take a teaspoon and I will have 3 bites, morning, noon, and night. And release the addictive demand that you have more. So there's that way. Then there's, letting it go altogether. As they say, there are 1,000 ways to balance.
Well, let's use me as an example. And that's the thing. It's not cookie cutter. Everyone's different.
Okay.
There was a time that I wanted to change the format of Facebook for myself, to run from triggers, to avoid pain. And I wanted to delete some people. I wanted to really go where it is, not where it isn't. And I can tell people.
Go where it seemed to be.
Okay.
Because if you're in addiction, you're creating an illusion that it's there.
Yes. And so I'm grateful that in class, you and Jules and Jimmy, a group of you, really encouraged me to not do that, to actually go through the addiction, continue using Facebook, continue doing what I was doing, and not mind, and to observe my dramatics inside my head and perceive my ego, Kathleen, from my soul's perspective. And so I began to do that more, and breathe and relax when the addiction would show itself. And I did that, and just going through it. And anytime, because this is what I tell myself: if you cut out something completely, like Facebook, let's say, and then when you go back to it, if you haven't taken care of the trigger, it doesn't matter.
If you haven't let go of the addiction, let's not.
Okay, if you haven't let go of the addiction, sure, you can quit alcohol, you can quit everything if you really.
Now, see, if you would keep it about that.
I mean, you as an all.
I know, and it could be perceived that
I'm talking to somebody.
saying something universal, and it isn't. What is universal is that and here is the grand contradiction. What's universal is that everything is different, and everyone is different, and this is a way that would not work for you. Just turning your back and then going back to it and not having dealt with the addiction.
And I wanted to do the cookie cutter thing because I'm like, why? So and so and so and so did that, and that worked great for them.
Exactly. Yeah, and I know a person who does that constantly. When she'll ask me to be her teacher, her mentor, and the minute I point out something that she's doing that's very, very detrimental to her, she'll right away go to that cookie cutter place. Well, you don't say that to Kathleen, and you don't say that to the Boots, and this and that, and so, okay. If you don't want to receive that which would work, then I don't work that hard. I'm not going to push any theories on anybody. I know that addictions are the only cause of suffering, no exceptions. And I know that love works and will help you through any addiction, regardless what it is. That's why.
How do you know if you're the person, though? For me, let's just keep using me, that I was supposed to stay on Facebook and continue doing it in that way.
Because there's no doubt. When you're in your mind will say.
I know, I teach it.
Okay.
I teach it all the time.
So it's like, yes, no.
And I was in doubt, and so.
When you're in doubt, don't do anything. Just look at.
And if you're unwilling to doubt your doubt,
Just
then
look
still
at
don't.
Look at your fear, because there's fear. When you doubt, you create fear because you're unsure. You're not standing on something solid. When you're in your heart, in a preferential place rather than an addictive place, you know the difficulties that may show up. You have broad vision about those difficulties, and you know this is direction you must go in because you're core knowing is that.
See, I knew to stay on. I did. I knew to stay on, and I just was
Sure.
like, I just
Of
wanted to
course
get
you
off.
did.
Uh-huh.
Of course you did.
Okay, so I'm telling myself we don't need to say anything more on that, and
All
I
right.
want to ask you. I have to move here.
Okay.
Here we go. Here's my fingers. I need to get the list of people that want to hear from you,
Okay.
and I'll just start saying the names and then see if anything comes. Okay?
Well, no, I have it to do it
Oh,
differently.
you do? Do you
And I
have
don't
your
have
glasses?
I don't, and that's why I want to do it this way.
Okay.
I'm just going to who is this?
Okay. It's Mercedes.
Mercedes. Dear Mercedes.
That was awesome.
I would love
She's gonna
to
be
have a
stoked on
picture of you.
that.
I'd like to know who I'm talking to sometimes.
We'll look at her on
Mercedes-
Facebook after.
Mercedes, stay on it. You're paying attention for a certain amount of time, and then you're relaxing your vigil. So just stay more focused and more disciplined. Watch your language. Notice how your heart speaks versus when your mind gets in the way. And bless your heart, Mercedes. Love you.
You want to do another one?
Yeah, I will do this one. Who's this?
Heather Holiday.
Heather! I'm really-
Remember Heather, light as a feather?
Yeah. And Heather, you're not creating lightness of being as much as you can. And one of the ways you can is to stop being so hard on yourself. Look in the mirror and see what God sees. The perfect vehicle for loving and allowing yourself to be loved, because to love only is an imbalance. Allow yourself to be loved. You have to be worthy in order for that to occur. Bless
Receive.
you. Yeah.
Aw, happy Sundays with
Yeah.
Sentiment.
Happy day.
Yes. Bye-bye.